guys, welcome to another video of Grim Dawn Ashes of Mammoth. So in today's video I'm going to be talking about my Pyromancer. I've been wanting to talk about this character for a while. This character has insanely good synergies, it's very strong, does a ton of damage, and yeah, I'm really excited to talk about it. So before I get into that, I do want to apologize for not producing a lot of content of late. I've been going through a lot of stuff in my personal life. It's been really difficult, and I don't want to go into a lot of detail about it. So just try to bear with me, guys. My life and world basically got flipped upside down completely, and I'm trying to just cope with everything the best that I can. It's something that I didn't want, and yeah, so I really apologize for that. I haven't been streaming, and I probably won't be streaming very much for a while. I do want to try to produce YouTube videos if I can, so even in this video, if I seem kind of not as chipper and not as focused and on point, I apologize. I'm just being honest with you guys and being real. I'm just putting it out there. Things have been not so great, so I'm trying to get back into the routine and staying in positive mind and get back into the things I enjoy. So all the sad stuff aside, let's get into the build here and try to talk about it. Hopefully I won't miss anything. Like I said, my brain's a little scattered, but yeah, anyway, let's get into the build. I'll talk about the skills, I'll go over the devotion, and then we'll go over the items. So to sum this all up, I will have a Grim Tools link below. To sum this all up, the main focus of this setup, you're going to be stacking a lot of chaos percent if you can, and you're going to be stacking a lot of flat chaos as well. So something that's kind of, I wouldn't say weird about Grim Dawn, but something that is very important about Grim Dawn is if you're a melee or a ranged pistol user, you have weapon attack imbued into your abilities usually, or depending on what you're using, right? So let's say like if I'm on an Albrecht Aether Ray character that I've converted my Albrecht Aether Ray into like chaos damage, that flat chaos damage on the Dark Blaze Incinerator here, that 15 to 28 chaos damage, that does not apply to the Aether Ray. It doesn't apply to spells. It only applies to like physical auto attacks with like melee weapons or ranged physically auto attacks. Because of this, these characters, in my opinion, kind of have an advantage when it comes to dealing damage. This is probably one of the highest DPS characters I have, and I'll show you that here in a second. But keep that in mind as I go through this character. I don't want to make this video too lengthy and long, so I'm just trying to get that across to you guys really, really well. Like, that's why this character does so much damage, and I'll show you here in a minute. So we have Flame Touch, really nice. Obviously get some decent buffs here. Flat Fire damage. A lot of that's getting converted into Chaos, which is awesome. In fact, I think all of it is. But anyway, we're getting that OA as well, which is very important. Temper, 13 out of 12. So this is 14 out of 12. This is max. I think I put one extra point here. I will have a Grim Tool, so you can check all that. So I took this because this right here is actually giving me a decent amount of armor, and I am converting some of my physical into chaos as well, so that's why we do use that. Blast Shield, 12 out of 12, good enough. Just kind of like a, oh crap, save you kind of buff when it activates. Fire Strike, max as high as possible. Explosive Strike, I max as high as possible. This is really important because these are doing main hand damage too, percent main hand damage, which makes it very powerful. Don't really care for Static Strike. I did put 1 point to that, and then we max out Brimstone. So this is going to do a lot of splash AoE, a lot of chaos damage, and then obviously a lot of the fire is getting converted into chaos, like I've stated before. Vindictive Flame, really nice little buff. You're getting a flat physical damage buff, flat fire damage buff. You get a chance to stun enemies, and then we're getting health regeneration on top of total speed. So that stacks well with Blooded Reek and other things we're going to be using in this tree. Olzen's Wrath, 1 point just to get that extra chance for CC proc abilities. 1 point to Thermite Mine. We don't care about this one too much, but we want to get here to Hellfire Mine. 12 out of 12 on this. Again, this is dealing really nice chaos damage for us. And then on top of that, it's dropping the enemy chaos resist by 33%. I kind of wish they'd rework Hellfire Mine and how it works, but this is a good debuff, and that's why we take it. Occulticide. Running Soul's Witchfire, stacking this as high as possible. The reason we're doing this, obviously, is for that huge attack speed increase and then that flat chaos damage increase. It's going to be huge for us when we're attacking enemies. Second right, 1 point. Nothing major here. We do get some percent chaos on this. We get some vitality resist. Just 1 point, and you get it at rank 3, so why not? Possession, max that as high as possible. Again, we're getting that huge flat chaos damage increase, getting some percent chaos damage, chaos resist, other nice little buffs there, some damage absorption. 1 point to Curse Frailty, not too worried about max that, we don't care about this. Vulnerability, you could even possibly get away with only putting 1 point to this, because we have an item that's just adding a percent chaos reduction benefit to Curse Frailty as well. So you don't have to put this at 10 or max or anything. I did just because it does do other resistance reduction when I'm playing with parties and friends, and then on top of that, it does drop the defensive ability a little more, which is good for us. This build has a ton of OA. We're boosting our OA very high, so dropping their defensive ability basically boosts our OA even more. Blooded Dreeg. So this is where this build is really cool, and I feel like this build is the perfect epitome of what a build should do. It has a lot of good synergies, and I love this build for that. So the Dark Blaze Amulet that I'm using actually converts all the acid damage on Blooded Dreeg into chaos damage. On top of that, it gives it an 8% attack speed buff as well, which you don't see that here, but when it is active, you're getting that buff. So that's crazy because that's a 2005 chaos damage buff, flat damage buff when you have Blooded Dreeg active. That's huge damage for this build. It's insanely high. Like I said, I'll show you here in a minute. Then we're getting that huge OA health regen, which is really good. Aspect of the Guardian. We're basically taking this, as always, for the physical resist and the poison acid resist. That's really important. If anybody's played this game for some time, you know that Blooded Dreeg Aspect of the Guardian is pretty much a staple in a lot of builds if you're going to Cultists. Okay, guys, so let's get into the Devotion real quick. On the Devotion side, we have Sailor, Eel, and then we took Hound. I took Hound because Hound is actually giving a total of 5% armor increase. So armor is kind of hard to come by for casters and ranged users and stuff like that. If you're not running a soldier tank type class, being tanky and survivability is a little more difficult. Took Solemn Watcher for that nice little resist and buffs we get through here, and then on top of that, we're getting that 5% defensive ability. I took Wretch. So I did take Wretch because we're getting a flat damage chaos buff there for our weapon attack and a little bit of percent chaos as well. So this is kind of important if you're trying to stack as much damage as possible. Again, if you're playing hardcore, you'd probably go a little more defensive, but this build is pretty durable, honestly, for how much damage it does. I'm not going to lie, it's got a lot of good survivability built into it. So Ghoul, getting some health regen, percent lifesteal, some good buffs all around. And then this ability here, Ghoulish Hunger, actually benefits this build 100%. Again, everything synergizes so well with this. So when you drop below 45% health, you're getting a lot of attack damage converted to health, 81%. It lasts for 6 seconds, obviously. And then we're getting that 22% attack speed increase and a 16% physical resistance increase. It's very strong, and I'll show you all that in conjunction here in a second. Soul's Witchblade, obviously we're wanting that chaos resistance reduction, very powerful. Hawk, again for the crit and OA, very good. Empty Throne for the stun reduction and resistances, very strong. I decided to go with Hydra. This is something new. I've never done this. I'm trying this out. So Hydra requires ranged weapons, getting a decent amount of OA, getting all damage, which is really nice. We're getting flat elemental damage, so we are converting fire into chaos. So a portion of this elemental damage is being converted over into chaos as well. So if it's flat elemental damage, that does get dissected into thirds. So like a third of this will be cold, a third will be lightning, and a third will be fire. So it's not going to be like 53 cold, 53 lightning, 53 fire. It'll be thirds like I was saying before. If it was percent elemental damage, that actually does benefit all the damage categories to its maximum potential, right? So if it's like 50% elemental, that's 50% fire, lightning, cold increase. So flat works a little different, but what portion of that is actually turning into fire on my weapon attacks is then in turn being converted into chaos, which is really nice. OA here, and then right here we're getting a 4% OA increase, which is really nice. We take the Chariot of the Dead, again, really good buffs on this, and then we get that 4% OA with some flat OA. And this ability here is pretty nice. Get a nice little defensive ability buff with some health restored, which is really nice. So we go Dying God, and with this build we can get away with it because we have so much life still and we have a decent amount of life regen. We can actually out-heal the Dying God proc. In fact, I don't even have it maxed all the way. You can see it's at 10 out of 15 right now. So this character has room to grow, which is really crazy. And if we come down here, we grab this, and this is flat chaos damage as well for our weapon attack. So you can see I'm stacking just a ton of flat chaos damage everywhere I can. It's really, really nice. Honorable mention, I suppose, would be Abominable Might. I do like this skill. The only thing I hate about this skill is the fact that it has to be an on-enemy death proc. It is a 100% chance, but it irks me, man. I love this skill. It gives you a huge flat chaos damage buff. It gives you percent chaos damage increase. It gives you 50% physical damage converted to chaos, which is massive. If I were to run this, that is a huge damage increase. And then a 22% health increase while this is active. My only major complaint about this is that it's on enemy death. So against bosses and targets that really matter, this is really not going to do you any good most of the time. So I kind of wish they would change on death procs. In my opinion, they'd be a lot better. Let's go over the items real quick, guys. So I'm using the Dark Blaze Incinerator set. It's not a very big set at all. It's like a 4-piece set, yeah, and it's very strong. You can see that I'm getting flat chaos damage here, percent chaos, getting a lot of good bonuses here, huge attack, cast speed buffs, and you get void rounds with this gun here. This weapon actually allows you to dual wield too, which is really nice. That's very strong with this setup. Has a 15% chance to fire the void rounds that do main hand damage and offhand damage. So they're doing a percentage of your main and offhand damage, which is really nice. Does flat fire and chaos damage as well. Very, very strong. And then if you go down, you can see my Seal of the Void. Again, we're getting flat chaos damage. We're converting some of our physical into chaos, getting attack speed. As you can see, this build is just crazy. It has so many good synergies. Quite literally, everything works together. There's nothing that's really being wasted stat-wise. And that's what I was trying to get across to you guys with this build. So you can see I also have the Burning Void from the Seal. And this is a 16% chance to be used to fire a Burning Void round that does main hand, offhand damage, flat fire, flat chaos, and then it knocks down enemies. So this build is just crazy, crazy strong. Rings, again, Mythical and Tropic Coil. So what we're doing here is we're, again, stacking that flat chaos as much as possible with a lot of good plus to skills there. So you can see what, components, augments I'm using. Pause the video if you need to. And then you have the skill effect here, 15% chance on attack to deal chaos damage, burn damage, and then it does 50% bonus crit damage when it procs. Same thing for this ring here. Dark Blaze Source. So this is the one I was talking about here. One skill is Demolition. There's a lot of good stats here. I mean, this thing's just great. And then you can see that it's converting all 100% acid damage to chaos damage on Blooded Dragon, giving you attack speed increase as well. And then it gives you the Unleash Chaos ability, which is a little proc you can activate. It's like a Chaos Nova. Does a lot of chaos damage and knocks down enemies. Mythical Exterminus. Again, flat chaos damage. Yep, and then we're converting physical damage into chaos, 15% on this weapon here, which is pretty nice. Obviously, that's good for us. And then with the other seal, I'm doing that, and then this seal's doing it too. So technically, that'd be 20, so that's 35% of my physical damage right now is being converted into chaos, which is really nice. It's actually not a bad conversion at all. Nice attack speed, one skill to Occultist. And then the Dark Flame proc is very strong, 15% chance on attack to debuff their fire chaos resist. So we're getting a lot of chaos resistance reduction through gear, which is really nice. Fate Weaver's Raiment. I'm a huge fan of this chest armor. I probably overuse this item. I use it on like every character I can, pretty much. Somebody was kind of making fun of me the other day, like, dude, you have that on like every character. It doesn't really do anything for us damage-wise. Not much, but it does have a lot of good beneficial stats. Good resistances, and it's giving us a very nice physical resist buff, which I'm a huge fan of. Mythical Demon Bone Leg Plates, again. I went for these because they're a little more defensive, and I try to balance that out on my characters. I try not to go extremely offensive. I try to do a good little mix. So we're getting some defensive ability, percent armor, good stats there. All around not bad. You can see the augments and everything there. Krovak's Deception. Okay, so this is probably one item where we don't get full use out of, unfortunately. But the base stats on this item are too good to not use, in my opinion. So we're not getting the Blazing Charge, which is kind of unfortunate, because if we could, that is a ton of damage, as you can see, but it requires a melee weapon with a shield, unfortunately. So you can see I am getting fire, chaos, burn, percent OA, percent DA, reduced entrapment duration, slow resist, and one skill is demolitionist. So just the base stats on this are very, very strong, and that's why we're using it. Dark Blaze Ammo Belt. You can see that this belt is very good. Does a lot of things that we like. Good plus skills. So I'm not upset about it. Mythical Blood Sigil Cathan. This thing is insanely good. I could use a more defensive relic, metal. I could use a more defensive metal, but this thing is, I feel like it's just too good to not use. You get that bonus damage to humans, which isn't a big deal for us, but if you're fighting like Fabius or anything like that, that is multiplicative damage, which is very nice. You get that huge OA, decent resist, and then you can see you get flat chaos damage to Blackwater Cocktail, which I don't use, but you do get 70% fire damage converts chaos damage on Blackwater Cocktail, but you also get that for Fire Strike, basically. So we're getting flat chaos damage to Fire Strike, and we're getting 70% fire damage on Fire Strike converted to chaos damage. So we're actually converting all the fire damage on Fire Strike into chaos, which is very important. I mean, we're getting full benefit out of that. These I crafted. Again, I tried to craft something with some decent resist, some physical resist, high armor, getting some chaos damage out of that, so that's why I took those. Mythical Harbinger's Grass. You could use really anything here. If I wanted to go more defensive and tanky gloves, I could. But again, I mean, we're getting flat chaos damage, percent chaos damage, 08 attack speed, you know, some good plus skills here. So obviously this is just more damage for us. Eighth of Fire Fabius, Shoulder Guards of Spell Weaving. These aren't bad. I do like these. I get nice OA, some energy regen, good damage stats, some good resistances. Ideally, I want to try to find something that's got percent armor, percent DA. If I can get those rolls, that's what I would prefer to use. Alright, so I think that covers most of the items. So if we look at the set bonuses here, 2 set is 90 OA, 3 set is Flat Chaos, bonus crit damage, and then the 4 set is 3 to Blooded Dreeg, 3 to Brimstone. And then it gives Curse of Frailty flat chaos damage, which is really cool. So your Curse of Frailty just gets damage when you cast it on enemies. And then on top of that, it's dropping enemy chaos resist by 25% to Curse of Frailty. So this is what I was talking about. So you can put Curse of Frailty at whatever rank you want, and you're just going to get that flat chaos resistance reduction, which is really nice. All right, so let's get into some gameplay, and we'll show you guys what this build is capable of. So there you have it, guys. This build is very strong. I do want to point out a few things real quick. So this is sheet DPS, and when you activate the Blooded Dreeg, like I mentioned before, you get that flat chaos. You see the damage go up by quite a bit. It's a huge difference, really. And then if you look at the actual damage breakdown, you can see that I'm averaging about 38 to 47,000 chaos damage in this setup right now. So you can see pretty much all the damage is more or less chaos. But there you have it. Really strong build, a lot of fun. Give it a go, guys, and let me know what you think. If you haven't, please subscribe, and I will talk to you guys next time.